And I'll give
And
you a
yeah,
little ammo with that, Sam. If you are new and you're just starting out,
yeah.
you don't need to spend money on ads. You don't need to learn cold email, and you want to get a couple of at bats with demos. Here's what I did. This scaled my lead gen agency to 75K per month, literally doing just this one thing.
I got my buddy Alex. Alex, you came on my radar recently because in the Facebook group you posted, a post about your new model, what you're doing. I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but tell us about the post, and then maybe give us a quick little introduction into you and what you do.
Yeah. I was kind of excited, so I jumped the gun. I put a post out there on your wall, talking about what we were able to do in the month of November. I think it was about a 2 week span because obviously we had Thanksgiving, so we had just launched our SaaS with UpHex, and I think we got 38 or 39 clients over the course of 2 weeks. So we charge about $150 a month, which is very, very cheap. I recommend probably charging a bit more than that, but there's a strategy behind it, and there's a reason why we're charging that little amount. But yeah, we got about 39 customers in 2 weeks with UpHex. It puts us at about almost $6,000 monthly recurring revenue.
Yeah. And then what niche are you in?
Mortgage.
Okay, mortgage. A niche that I am familiar with, not because I did marketing for that niche, but because I actually was a loan originator. I owned a mortgage brokerage back in 2000. I started in 2006. Perfect time to start a mortgage brokerage, right? 2006.
Right.
And you know what happened in 2008, of course.
Mm-hmm.
But it's a good niche. So this is an interesting conversation for a couple of reasons. One, if you're in the mortgage industry, you're in that niche, or you're um, maybe you have an agency that's doing that. The model that people are using, it's all about timing, opportunity, what the conditions of the market are, and what you can charge, right? So prior to UpHex, what was your model? Describe your business that you were using prior to UpHex.
Yeah, so it's kind of an evolution. So, originally I first got into marketing, and I started a lead gen agency, right? And what's funny is something that I want to point out is a lot of the messages that I've gotten since I posted that is, "Hey, what niche are you in? What niche are you in? What niche are you in?"
Yeah.
Full transparency, guys. The reason I'm in this niche, and the reason I'm not seeing that I'm seeing this success is not necessarily because of the niche. It's because I've had an agency for 4 years and have been able to compile a database of over 9,000 mortgage brokers.
Yeah.
Okay. So just want to preface that, it doesn't mean that if you jump into mortgage that you're going to see all, you're going to be able to do 38. And there's a lot of compliance issues and regulations as well that you're going to want to familiarize yourself with. It's part of the reason why I got out of the agency space, because when you're generating leads for all of these people in all of these different states, there's regulators that get involved, and it's just a pain in the
Yeah.
butt. And now with the new NMLS, like you have to pay to play. Like you got to get licensed in every state. It's like $2,000 a state. So it's like 50 to 100 grand to play. Anyways, so those were the business problems that we were running into. Also, the housing market.
Yeah.
Now, before we decided we were going to do a SaaS, we wanted to pivot to a course. One cheat code that I think is really, really important is if you are going to grow a SaaS with Go High Level and UpHex, I think it's absolutely pivotal that you create a course that walks them through setting this up step by step. Because when you are running a SaaS, and what we realize very quickly is when you're running an agency, it's how long can we keep them, right? How long
Yes.
can we have to keep on top of them and keep nurturing them? With a SaaS, it's not necessarily that. It's how quickly can we get them up and running,
Right.
right? How fast can we get them from zero to, aha, I know exactly how to work this? And because once they figure out how to work it, theoretically, they should never go to lead generation again if you've explained things correctly, right?
Right.
It's very simple. This UpHex and Go High Level gives you the ability to get leads at wholesale cost,
Mm.
right?
Yeah.
So if I like Nike shoes and there's a Nordstrom's next door, but there's a Nike wholesale factory around the corner, I'm going to go to the Nike wholesale factory and I'm probably going to buy even more, right? I'm going to buy a bunch of shit too, right? Because I'm getting it at wholesale
Yes.
cost.
Yep.
That's what we try and really embed. Like, I'll straight up tell the people who I'm on demos with, hey, I'm saving you thousands of dollars in retainers. I'm not saving you that money for you to put it in your pocket. I am saving you that money for you to invest in Facebook in order to get exponentially better results, right? So your value proposition when you are pitching people is simply this. Hey, if you were to work with a lead generation company,
Yeah.
most of them, they have a 100% markup at a minimum. That means you have to pay $2,000 to get $1,000 worth of leads.
Mm.
So what we're going to show you how to do is cut out the middleman, and it's much easier than you thought. The reason you pay lead generation services is because you think Facebook ads is complicated, and you're right, it is until now, right? Until our software. Let's demonstrate that for you. One thing that I noticed is that you can launch Facebook ads in less than 5 clicks. When we click ad management, we click mortgage, we click the template, we put in this less than 5 clicks. So once we realize that, we're like, that really, really demonstrates how easy it is to do this, right? So the way we were originally selling this, which I highly recommend doing, we were doing webinars for the longest time.
Yeah.
And we would not necessarily sell the SaaS, but we would sell the course and the SaaS with it, because courses generally sell for more expensive. So actually, we at one time were charging $2,497 upfront and then a $300 a month subscription. The reason we changed was because my strategy began to be, we would only get about 4 or 5 signups a webinar. And I thought, well, if we lowered it to 500, we probably could get exponentially more for a $500 setup fee and then $150. And then I'm like, why don't we just go $150 and see what happens? That's how you see the 38, people in 2 weeks, because it's such a no-brainer.
Yeah.
When something's that cheap, you can be very, very blunt with them. Like a lot of the things that I do, and it really relates to any profession. It doesn't matter what they are. They can be a doctor, a chiropractor, a pool cleaning company. It's like, hey, if you can't afford $150 a month, you're probably in the wrong profession anyway. People hear that.
You said that pre-call. I'm like, that's true. I mean, it's harsh because it's true, right?
Exactly. And they appreciate that. They really do. Like, in fact, one of the guys, and I'll tell everybody on a call, I'm like, yeah, listen, we signed up 27 out of 30 demos. Or now I say that, but before, the first week I did it, I went 12 straight. I think it was like 11 or 12 straight demos, straight sales. And the last guy, he didn't want to buy, and I literally said, dude, you are not going to ruin my streak over $97. And he goes, you're right, I can't do it over $97. And he paid, and he's still with us. So when you're dealing with when you're dealing with it such low ticket, it gives you so much more freedom to just be so much more bold. However, I do not recommend selling one-on-one. We're selling one-on-one to our own database. Highly recommend doing webinars. It makes so much more sense. And not only if you're a SaaS, but if you're an agency as well. Anybody who's an agency in this group, you know how much a demo costs. It costs anywhere from $100 to $200, probably $150 in the middle, right? That's for a demo one-on-one. You want to know how much registrations for webinars cost? $10 to $20.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you sell to the masses for way less, right? And I think even if you're an agency, you should be selling via webinar.
So I want to talk about webinars. But real quick, before we move on to webinars, because I couldn't agree with you more, by the way. But before we do that, I want to recap the model transformation, because before, your model was effectively an SMMA, an agency model, where you would charge a hefty retainer, and then you're pivoting now over to SaaS, which is the model that we do over here at UpHex. So the revenue, the overhead, all that before, the revenue, the overhead, and all that managing after. I also think we should touch on that too. You mentioned a little bit
100%.
on that. Let's talk about that a little bit, because I think even in your niche, there's a clear delineation of the opportunity to charge high retainers has been withdrawn based on market conditions. But that's not the only reason to pivot. So let's talk about the revenue / net proceeds of each model, the way you've experienced and explained to me.
And listen, SaaS is way, way better, in my opinion, than an agency model. Okay. For a few reasons. And anything that's a testament to that is we had an agency doing $500,000 a month and we pivoted to SaaS. That should tell you everything that you need to know about that, right? But typically in an agency, once you get past the 100K a month, your margins shrink.
Yeah.
Because your overhead begins to become more. And it's more work for less profit, pretty much around that 100K threshold. That's why all these agency gurus that you see out there, they're only at like 250,000 a month or 300,000 a month. Like, dude, we shot past that and doubled that.
Yeah.
And we were only making like maybe 300,000 of the five, at 500,000, we were making about three, maybe a little less, high twos. Here's the thing with SaaS, especially with it's all profit, right? And it's hard not to over deliver on value because part of the SaaS is how quickly can we get this user to adapt to a regular user. So you're going to need a course as well, which gives them even more value. Taylor Welsh says this, but create a $100,000 product and sell it for $10, right? That's how you get raving fans. The SaaS model, by having a course, which in my opinion is a necessity, it also allows you to just stack value. But I was just talking to Sam, before we started this recording, and one of the things that I said was $30,000 MRR in SaaS is the equivalent to 70 or 80K MRR for agencies. And the reason is because you have so much overhead with agencies. You have to pay for ad spend, right? You have all of these expenses. Whereas with a SaaS, all that overhead is gone. So I would rather be at 30K MRR in a SaaS, have also generally from just my customers are so much happier as SaaS partners than they are as agency clients. It's unbelievable. I mean, these people are like, we're friends. Like, it's a great community. It's awesome.
The exchange for software, like what they understand when they are purchasing software every month, as opposed to when they're purchasing a service from a person every month, they're like, I'm very critical of that person. Also, the outflow of cash, that's, those go hand in hand. Right. I'm very critical of that. As soon as my lead flow goes, or as soon as I have a bad conversation with a lead, that's that guy's fault. When it's software and the prices, I call it forget me money, right? I think some businesses vary on what that is. If it's below 300, that's why that 297 mark is so prevalent, because below 297, it's kind of forget me money to a business, right? So if you're below that forget me money threshold and they're getting results that they were getting paying a retainer, they're like, yeah, I'm super happy. And guess what? When I had that bad call with that lead, that was their fault, not the machine, not the software. And it's very convenient how that starts panning out when they again associate it with the software.
And it's the opposite. Look, with lead gen, and here's the other thing that people don't consider with lead gen agencies, dude. We would have so many failed payments, and people would ghost us. And when somebody ghosts you, and you're running ads for them the whole time, and they owe you like $4,000 or $5,000.
Yeah,
that is like it's more like an $8,000 swing. So it's like an uphill battle, this constant battle. Hey, can we hire more people? Or I'm sorry, can we sell more than the customers that we're losing? That's what it becomes. And it's the agency game, it's very, very hard. Very, very difficult. It's not easy. It's not a picnic. But this is like such a nice cash flow business where I really don't have to do much. And another thing that I did was, we don't do one-on-one coaching calls or anything like that. It's like, hey, we make that clear. Hey, we don't have 24/7 support. However, we have coaching calls every Tuesday and Thursday at noon. So everybody just hops on the coaching call. And it's great because it builds this community. It builds this camaraderie. And you just sit back and watch these other people help each other. Like when we'll give the floor to a loan officer, like just the other day, this loan officer went over this strategy. He goes, yeah, so I ran this ad. And then what I did was I took the ad and shared it in all of my local Facebook groups, all my neighborhood groups. And he ended up getting like 13 leads in 24 hours.
Wow.
With a very small spend. And we were like, that's really interesting. So we repurposed it, put it in the group, and now everyone's doing it and they're getting great results. So it's, I think a huge part of the SaaS model is building a community, and building a community is much easier than juggling clients who literally in their mindset is, you work for me.
Yeah.
I'm going to treat you like shit unless I'm super, super happy.
That is the point. You boiled it down with that one passive thought that maybe we don't say they think, but they think. Right. That
100%.
right there is exactly why this model is so far superior. All right. You and I could not be more on the same page in terms of the best way to grow your SaaS. And I get asked all the time. I posted a case study on my YouTube channel about how I got 127 clients in like 2.5 months. Quite frankly, for me at the time, I wasn't, my agency was not built to take on that many people that quick, but because the webinar was so straightforward and the offer was so good, it just flew off the shelves. So webinars are, in my opinion, the very best way to sell software. Okay. And to your point, doing demos, I did demos for a long time doing this. And mostly because whenever I would do a webinar, our backend was not built to sustain tranches of users. We've fixed that now.
Right.
And so now we do that.
Mm-hmm.
But talk to me about just your webinar, your webinar strategy, your growth strategy, how you do it.
So I've read Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson 3 times. Okay. Mm-hmm. And the first thing that I do in my webinar is people buy based off of emotion.
Yes.
Right. And I'm an analytical guy as well. So I used to, there's two philosophies, right? One is, if you could reverse engineer the math to make sense for them, you should, because math is fact. There's no way around that. Right. So, yeah. But usually when I start my webinars, I don't focus on that, even though it's so, logic, like the argument to do your own lead gen when you can do it this easily in today's day and age is so logically sound that it's not even debatable, right? Because I can say this that nobody else can say. I can say, we are by definition, factually, the most affordable, right?
Yeah.
I know every lead generation company out there, they're not beating $150 a month. So we are by fact the most affordable option for you. We are by fact the most efficient option for you. You can get up and running in 1 hour. You go with a lead gen company, it's going to take a week to get set up. We, by definition as well, factually, get you the most out of your marketing dollars. Because as I said before, there's 100% markup, which means if you pay $2,000 for lead gen, you get $1,000. These are all great points to bring up. But in a webinar, right, even though these are all great points to bring up, the first thing that I do is I start off with a story. I tell this story about how I was with a company, and this company, I was supposed to get equity and I got screwed out of $100,000. I literally walk them through my marketing journey and how I got here.
Yeah.
Right. Then because they have to feel like you have to be likable. Right. So I go for sympathy. Because I do have a story of how I got, big time screwed. I raised like $600,000 for this company and they screwed me over. I had $2,000 left in my bank account and I took this course. And that's how and then I scaled my company to $500,000 a month. So it's like a feel good story, right? And then I transition it to, and I did it with this tool. And the crazy thing is about this tool, I guess if I can remember the script correctly, it's, I went to my friend asking him how I can better myself, what to do with my life. And he told me I should get into marketing. And I said, I don't know anything about marketing. And he said, well, you don't really need to know anything about marketing anymore because now they have this tool, right? And this same tool that changed my life is now going to change your life, right? So we go into that. And then from the story, what you want to do is you want to break down 3 false beliefs. Yes. So you want to think about, all right, what is this guy's false belief about what I have to sell them? We knew, okay, people are going to think this is difficult, right? So I had to give an example about how this is not difficult. So one of the examples I used was I made my 7-year-old nephew take our course, and here are the results he got. And I showed a picture of him in Facebook ads to show them, oh, wow, a 7-year-old can do this. I can do this, right?
It's funny you say that. It's funny you say that. I'll let you go here. I have a video of my 10-year-old daughter doing the exact same thing. because when I demoed the software on the thing, it was like I pre-recorded 1 minute demo. So look, click, click, click. See how easy it is? I had a guy message me after. He goes, I think it's easy because you were the person doing the clicking. I'm like, okay. I grabbed my 10-year-old. I got my iPhone out. I'm like, hey, this is her first time ever doing this. I gave her a marketing budget and I'm telling her which ad I want to run. Besides that, I'm doing nothing else. And it's like a 30-second video. She clicks, clicks, clicks. She goes, I did it.
Yeah,
And then all of a sudden everybody was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. I can do it.
Right. So you want to be able to demonstrate, because typically,
Yes.
look, if you're selling this SaaS, there's going to be 3 false beliefs. One, you have to prove that you're better than lead generation, right? That's easy. You're better than lead generation because you're more affordable, and by definition, you are getting the most out of your marketing dollars. When I want to dive into like the details of it, I say reason 1, well, especially in mortgage, reason 1, I'm like, you pay a retainer every month, right? Well,
Yeah.
it takes 45 to 90 days to close a home loan. So by the time you close a home loan, you're in the whole 6K if you're paying 2K a month, right? So, and the other thing, which is I think applicable everywhere, is, hey, when you work with a lead generation company, only 50% of the money that you give them at most is going directly into generating you leads, right? So that's how you explain to them why it's better, because they're getting the most out of their marketing dollars. More money into Facebook means more leads, right? You can use the wholesale analogy I used earlier. The second thing is ease of use, right? So typically you want 3 false beliefs can we absolutely, you don't want to just debunk it, you want to shatter them, right?
Yes.
And then you want to throw rocks at the enemies. You want to throw rocks at your competition. This is why lead gen sucks. You want to make them pissed, right? So what I say is like, here's a secret that lead generation companies don't want you to know. And by God, I'm going to make a lot of enemies when I tell you this, right? People are going to hate me when I tell you this. But the truth is, we all use the same ads, right? Like I'll say like, this is lead gen's best kept secret, right? The secret is that only 20% of the money that you give them is actually spent on Facebook ads. That literally is the case for a lot of agencies. It just is, because they have so much overhead. It's like, we can only spend this much on ad spend. So if you can say that and demonstrate the numbers, like I'll even break it down. I'm like, so that means if you spend $6,000 a month on lead gen, only $1,200 of that is going into ads. That means that extra $4,800 that you're spending every month is going directly into that lead gen company's profits, right? Like, we make slides. Like I'll make slides. I'll say 20% goes to Facebook ads. Another 20% or 40% goes to salaries. 10%
put your
goes to
finger in it and twist. Just
right.
exactly.
And I'll just vacations, PTO. This is how much that costs the company. This is all what you're paying for. So when you can kind of tug on their emotions and then circle it back to, hey, this is how easy it is. And what I like to do in my webinars, by the way, is do a bunch of bonuses. So we have like different courses, like a Realtors on Demand course, or I have one of my best friends. His name is Dylan Kivo. He does PR, and he gives me a promotional code. Usually articles cost $600. I'll get it for $100 for you. This is another bonus that we're doing. And by the way, guys, our SaaS comes with coaching calls twice a week, group coaching calls. You could join in at any time. It's much easier for me to go to a coaching call for an hour on Tuesday and Thursday at noon, then service 200 clients for my agency that all need one-on-one help.
Yeah.
Right? Because typically all of your SaaS people, they're all going to have the same issues. So what's going to happen is they're all going to come in and you're going to get to that person. He's going to be, actually, you already answered my question. Right? So we're going to move to from coaching calls to live walkthroughs. So like live setups, like if you want to run Facebook ads, that's on Tuesdays. If you want to set up your GHL, that's on Monday. And we're just going to stagger them. But so far, the coaching calls twice a week has been so easy to manage. It doesn't take a lot of our time, and we're able to service the masses very easily.
I love it, dude. So I have so it's funny because the perfect webinar, it's sitting back there on my bookshelf. And when Russell was, what's that?
Really? See that?
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, back.
So when Russell was writing his first book, what was the first
Traffic Secrets.
No, that was the third one. The first one was
John Reese owned that name.
Yeah, John Reese. No, but his first one was Funnel Secrets. I can't,
It might have been.
or maybe it was Expert. Regardless, there's a chiropractor in that book talked about. Okay, and his
Okay.
name is Chad Woolner, and Chad Woolner is a good friend.
.com secrets, I think,
.com
was the
Secrets.
other
Thank
one.
you. Yeah. So Chad Woolner is in that book, and he's a
Uh-huh.
friend, a really good friend of mine. And when Russell was learning the different frameworks of webinars, he would go to Chad and tell him all of those frameworks and all this kind of stuff. And so I learned webinars from Chad, right? And then
Mhm.
I got his perfect webinar sequence. I got that, but there's a video on YouTube where it's before he develops the perfect webinar, and I don't know if it's still there. I remember seeing it, and it's just kind of like how you walked through. It's the most blunt, easy way of doing a webinar. And on my YouTube channel, I talk about VSLs. I will be talking about more about webinars, and all you're doing to just to back up exactly what you're saying is every industry, every person, every persona, every avatar has a set of thoughts, ideas, fixed ideas, false beliefs, like that they assign to what it is that you do and
Right.
how it works in your industry. And your goal in doing a webinar is to attack the three biggest false beliefs, attack it, and then replace it with a new story. And that new
Right.
story delivers your value proposition after three. It's like jab, jab, bam, right? Jab,
Right.
jab is number one, number two, and then number three, like brings them all together. So there's one thing that when they hear those three, fixed belief one, lead quality sucks. Fixed belief two, agency sucks. Fixed belief three, I can't run my own ads. It's too difficult, right? Whatever your things are. And that's what I do in mine. In fact, now I want to send you my webinar and say, hey, bro, what do you think about this? I'll look at yours
I'd
too.
love to take a look. The other thing that I can do with you is I can share with you, Jason Fladley?
Yeah, Jason Fladley. Yep.
Yeah, I have his course. I'll send it to you.
Awesome. Jason, it's all good, bro. It's all good.
We're splitting it.
That's right.
But that
So
helped me a lot too. He's got a different style. Um, and like one of the things that he said was great. Like, hey, what if we're all running the same ads? Doesn't that's one thing that I get. Well, if we're all running the same ads, then the cost is going to go up. You go, no. Listen, that's like trying to drain the ocean with a teaspoon. Right. So
yeah,
he's got some nice little nuggets in there that work very well.
you know, I couldn't agree more. And he's got a lot. Like I think one of the things that I took from him was in the next 45 minutes, I want to, what was it? Either that nothing pains me more than giving this information over time and then a year later coming back and seeing what it is that you're doing. And
You
I
have to
find
promise
people,
me that you're going to take action.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, that's one of the slides in my own webinar. All right. So here's the point. If you're doing SaaS, you should absolutely, if you could acquire only one skill in marketing, okay, in terms of selling, it's not even selling. It would be performing, executing, and repeating a webinar. That's the one thing that most people don't do is they do it like a time and they'll get some results, but they're like, oh, I didn't get like 100 people. Like Sam said he got 127 people doing 2 webinars. I didn't do that.
All right. So here's the fun. Russell Brunson is considered like the goat of webinars, and he did one webinar a week every week for a year before he perfected it. Now, the great thing about webinars is that they're extremely scalable. And what I mean by that is when you make iterations to your webinars, because there's so many people on them, they have exponential effects. So like one of the things that I did when I was doing it, and it's great because you get better and better and better and better.
Yeah.
I was pitching to mortgage brokers and I'm trying to be enthusiastic, right? And I'm all enthusiastic and I'm selling, we would sell like 4, right? And then one day I was stressed and I was having a bad day. And I go, you know what? I don't give a shit if anybody buys it. And I was much more low key, serious, not as enthusiastic. And you know what happened? I ended up selling 7 of them instead of 4. So I was like, mortgage brokers do not like the salesy pitch. They like somebody who's more serious and more stern. And after I made that adjustment, all of a sudden I started selling 7,777 instead of 4,
Oh,
4, 4, 4.
wow.
Right? So there's different iterations that you can make, and the best part is that it becomes predictable, right? Because so for example, let's say you run ads for a webinar, you get 1,000 people to sign up. Well,
Yeah.
of the 1,000 people, only 250 of them may
Yep.
show up, and then let's say the another 100 of them will watch the webinar recording after that. So
Yep.
guys, it's not just about doing webinars, right? There's a science behind it. I highly recommend picking up Expert Secrets by Russell Wilson, because he literally walks you through the mathematical science behind it. Like, this is if you do this many webinars in a year, and then he'll even tell you what your trajectory is. So he'll say, if you close this percent, if you close, I think above 10%, it's a 8-figure business. If you close above
Yeah.
15, you have the potential to be a 9-figure business, which is crazy because it really is just a numbers game. It becomes, oh, well, if we just spend more on ad spend and do absolutely nothing different, we're going to sell this much. It's much more predictable. It's
Yeah.
not a one-on-one demo where you have the chance of losing it. You typically will close the same amount of people every single time.
My buddy Jason Wardrop. Do you know Jason, by the way?
I don't.
Okay, so Jason grew this was pre high level, pre any of the stuff that we're doing now. This was a couple of years ago. Grew, and he was actually part of Russell Brunson's inner circle, did all that kind of stuff. And he's an affiliate for UpHex, promotes. He's he's kind of like an unpaid advisor. He really believes in what UpHex is doing. And so he like spends time with me and like, will let me ask whatever I want.
That doesn't surprise me at
super
all.
cool. Jason, I appreciate you, buddy. And I was asking him about how he grew his real estate CRM from 0 to 15,000 users. He 15,000 users, and then he sold it. I was like, what was the thing? He goes, I did a live webinar every week for 4 years.
How much was he charging?
I don't remember. But 4 years, a live webinar every week. And so he goes, after a while, I found like because the webinar converted at whatever percent it was, I started doing a challenge to anyone who did not convert. And so he would go in with the webinar, and then he automated a challenge that anybody who did not convert in the webinar, they would be offered to go into this challenge. And I don't remember the details of the challenge, but
that's what we want to do. We want to do the 1-hour challenge. Can you get up and running with lead generation services? Can you sacrifice 1 hour to get an ROI forever?
There is one video, and if I can find it, I'll link in the description below, where he outlines his whole strategy of how he did it.
Oh, I would love that. Oh, please.
Yeah. And it's a game changer. The point is, I mean, just to back up, dude, I am like, you and me are singing off the same sheet of music so much. We might be harmonizing, making a beautiful song. I have no idea, but I cannot agree with you more. When you're very first starting, when you don't know what you're doing, don't jump into doing a webinar because you don't know what their 3 things are. All right. You go face to face, you ask them, you talk to them about what it is you're doing. You create an offer that's going to satisfy or like solve a problem that they have. And then you do some demo calls one-on-one. The whole point of doing those demo calls is to get customers, but it's really to get ammunition for your webinar.
And I'll give you a little ammo with that, Sam. If you are new and you're just starting out, you don't need to spend money on ads. You don't need to learn cold email. And you want to get a couple of at-bats with demos, here's what I did. This scaled my lead gen agency to $75K per month, literally doing just this one thing. I would send out Instagram DMs. So what I would do is if I was looking for a mortgage broker, I would look up a mortgage meme page. Okay. Who the hell else would follow a mortgage meme page other than a mortgage broker? Nobody, right? I would go after all of the followers of the mortgage meme pages and just hit them with my offer. Obviously, I recommend reading $100 million Offers by Alex Hermosi. It's 99 cents. That'll help you create one and craft one very well. So that's another resource for you. But like, dude, I scaled to $75K a month doing just Instagram DMs. Literally, that's it. And it's very possible. It's so funny because I've put this out on my content, and you get those real estate agents and people are like, oh, that doesn't work. It's too spammy. People are gonna hate you for that. I go, I don't give a shit if they hate me if they're not gonna buy anyway. What do I care what they? You know what I mean? Like, exactly. It's not for you.
And to your point, it might not work for them. first of all, because they might be playing chess or checkers. If you go out with a good offer, here's an offer for you, especially if you're using UpHex. Hey, I've been running this ad for other loan officers. It's getting leads at $10 a piece. Here it is. If you want any help using it, I'd absolutely love to help you do this. My business is this. DM me back if you want. They're like, dude, this guy just gave me an ad that everybody else
that's what we
holds captive. You know,
we give away a free ad. The opening hook to every single one of my videos is, loan officers, if you stay until the end of this video, I will give you one of our ads that have produced over $100 million in volume.
Genius. Yeah. Genius. This is one of the big problems of people who are beginning marketing is they have a restricted, like their thoughts are confined to what they watch on video. So even in this example, you gave an example, I gave an example. People were going to copy those exact things. You can, or you can model. You can use them as an example to say, hey, I help janitors, or I help this. How could I think outside of the box? What are all of my competition? What are they like protecting? What do they think is the, and then just give that thing away. You said, Taylor Welch said, build $100,000 thing and sell it for $10. This is the same thing. Like, stop holding on, stop holding captive these things that you think are so valuable, because in the hands of a person who has no idea how to run the ad that you're promising to give them at the end of the video, it means nothing. Maybe out of 100 people, there's 0.5 people that are going to be able to like Google on YouTube or search on YouTube how to set up a Facebook ad. Take that thing. Most of them are going to be like, I'd have to search on YouTube how to do that. I'll just call Alex and he'll do it.
Yep.
There you go. So this is not a copycat thing. The guys that get to Alex's level, that get a big list, that make the money, that do all this stuff, they don't do it by copying other people. They do it by learning, modeling, and adapting that thing, right? The whole reason, if you're a marketer, you've ever heard the term swipe file. My number one thing that I want to be good at, if you could say, hey, if you could be good at one thing, Sam, what would it be? I want to be a really good copywriter. Okay. A copywriter can write ads, can write webinars, can write VSLs. That's what I really want to be the best at. And copywriters have these things called swipe files. Why do they have swipe files? And if you don't know what a swipe file is, it's a collection of proven creatives and offers. And the guys that I know that are really good, really seasoned in the game, if they have a new thing, they're like, hey, I want to sell SaaS. The first thing they do, whoop, they go open, they crack open the swipe file to start giving them these creative ideas on how to create a model, create an offer. How can I, by the way, the thing that both Alex and I just said, we'll give you an ad at the end of his video. That's better than mine, by the way. The reason that's so cool is because you're engineering a problem. I'm going to give you a problem. You don't know I'm giving you a problem. What's the problem? Is I have this thing I told you is really good and it works. Now you have to turn it on.
Right.
I just engineered a problem. That problem is solved by me or hours of research on YouTube. What do you want to do? You know what I mean? So
absolutely. Anyway. You know, I actually had a question for you. Do you have anybody in the community right now who is giving away 14-day free what and converting and what? All right. So what's your conversion percentage?
85%.
85% turn into a paying customer.
Yeah. So this was the craziest thing. So we've been building UpHex for a long time. And when we launched it to the high level community back in December of 2021, okay, so almost a year now, actually a year exactly. The UI to onboard and all that kind of stuff wasn't great. The tool did its job, but the UI getting set up, it was kind of clunky. And so when we relaunched it back in like August, that's where we've really started seeing our growth trajectory, right? We had like 20 users in August, and now we're going to hit 400 here, like probably next week or the week after, whatever. So that growth all happened. And with that growth came this demand of me to step out of my agency. I'm like, well, what am I going to do? Because I've always, with my webinar, I did a webinar and the stack, and at the end, it was like a $497 offer. That was my offer,
right?
$497 DIY.
What was your conversion percentage on that? I'm just trying to figure out my price points.
Yeah, no, it was like a 20-20, like 20% on the live and then 20% on the replay. It was good. My only problem was, and I shouldn't say my only problem, you know, I got one butt and I was riding two horses. You know what I mean? And so I'm not trying to scale that agency. So anyway, going back, the demand of sales, and I didn't want to like hire all these people to do demo calls or any of that kind of stuff. So I'm like, what if I did a webinar that ended with a 14-day free trial? And me and Jacob, my partner, were talking about that. He goes, well, before we do a webinar, we have also a very sizable list. Let's go to the people who are the furthest down our funnel, segment them, and then offer a 14-day free trial until we get 10 people to take us on it, and we'll just see what the conversion rate is. And by the way, all those people had been onto a webinar. The bottom of the file, they'd all been onto a webinar, had some kind of second point of contact, but not converted. So we got 10 people, and after 2 weeks, 8 of them converted. And once I saw that, and by the way, the 2 people who did not had reasons, like legitimate reasons why they couldn't. One of them,
every single person that's canceled has had a legitimate reason so far. I'm like, yes. Every single person that's canceled has had like a real, like, oh, I'm not a mortgage broker anymore. Like, I'm leaving.
Exactly, like that kind of thing. One of the persons, like, I was starting my own clinic, or I was doing something, and then my partner left, so now I need to. Anyway, so when that happened, I'm like, let's do a webinar. We're going to end it with a 14-day free trial, and then I'm out. Like, I'm not doing any of this other talking to people. I'm out. I can show up to do a webinar, but I can't show up over and over again to talk to anybody. Did it? Boom. 11 paid users, 1 webinar. And now I basically tell my team, hey, whenever you guys want new users, let me know.
Do you have a course, Sam, that you give them to pair up?
Yeah. So it's called New Patient School, and they get it and I actually have a book called New Patient School too. So,
yeah. Okay. So that makes sense, right? Because otherwise you might not necessarily even need to do webinars at this point, because if you have a VSL, right, and then after they buy it, they get a welcome video where you just basically tell them, like, there's some things that we have to let them know in our course, like, here's what to expect. This is going to be an hour long. I literally have to say, you know what? Most of the people who canceled are people who didn't even, like, I'll say this, just so you know, 100% of the people that cancel with us are people who didn't complete this course. There's plenty of opportunities in your life to get discouraged, right? But I don't care if you quit after the first hiccup or the 100th hiccup. If you quit, you didn't want it bad enough. This is 1 hour to pay you for the rest of your life. Don't stop for coffee. Grab a cup of water, sit your ass in this seat, and complete the course. And if you do that, you will never leave. And I literally say that to them in the welcome video at the beginning of the course, because what we realized is, like, wow, some of these people aren't getting started. We got to, like, kick them in the ass and, like, get them motivated. So now it's just like, boom, we send them the video via text message, like, hey, so thanks for watching right now.
Is your course 1 hour?
It's 1 hour. Yeah, it's around 1 hour. Probably maybe
that's like my challenge.
5 minutes or something like that.
That's my challenge. Is ours is longer than that.
Really? So the UpHex section of, and I can show you my course. I'll hook you up with that so you can see kind of how we did it.
That'd be awesome.
But so here's, and this is a great selling point too. I've spent over $100,000 in courses. And what I hate about some courses is there's just too much information.
Yeah.
So it's really, really hard to retain all of it because there's just so much shit in there. And then the other part is they'll have a video, like a module or a video that'll be 2 hours long. It's like, all right, I'm not going to watch this for 2 hours straight and retain everything. So our course is designed to make you follow along. These videos are 2, 3, 4 minutes long. Like when you're talking about go high level and setting up your custom values, like, for example, in our custom values, we have a custom values overview. It's 47 seconds. We have putting in your average home value so you can see what your pipeline value is. That's 1 minute long. Setting up your calendar, 1 minute long. Compliance URLs, 4 minutes. Setting up your tracking, 1 minute. Create a Facebook page, 3 minutes. Like, these are all just short videos where we make it super, super easy to follow along. And it's designed that way. Like, we're not telling a story. We have a
So,
video that tells a story,
so
but we're not.
is the difference that you're basically saying step 1, step 2, step 3. You're not explaining why you're doing the thing.
No,
You're just
we
saying do
do
the thing.
explain the why. In fact,
Okay.
in the description under every video, it says who, what, why. And we explain the
Mm,
why. And the why is explained in it, but we'll typically do an overview like, all right, this is why we're doing this, and then just go step by step. Like, and it gets people up and running faster. It allows them to follow along much easier. And then in between the modules, I will have a course that says, all right, you just finished the custom values, unbothered, unscathed, good for you. This next part is our Facebook ads part. Now this is where most people get stuck, but if you get by this module, you're in the clear. So like we'll put videos at the beginning of these modules, just keeping
yeah.
them going, keeping them motivated. Because that, again, when you're running a SaaS, it's all about how quickly can we get them to that aha moment? How quickly can we get them started? And if they're taking a course, it's very easy to stop, right? And say, oh, I'll finish
Yes.
it tomorrow. But then tomorrow they already forgot all the shit that they did the day before, right? But once
Yes.
you're set up, you're set up. So that's been our approach, and it's been working very
I would
well.
love to do a follow-up something to touch on that, because we have a course. I have a book, and the book is 89 pages, right?
Mhm.
And it's meaty. Like, it's like, hey, this is what we're doing. This is how to do it. But certainly if I could get it down to an hour and still make it to where once they got done, they could use the tool, man,
Right.
that would be made in the shade. I'd absolutely love to do that.
Well, here's another cheat code. I think what you're going to find is a lot of the videos that you have are absolutely necessary, but they don't prohibit you from operating within the system. So what we do is you can take those videos out, and at the end of your course, just put a bonus materials section, or
Oh
we
yeah.
put like advanced. Like, for example, we have how to do Facebook ads the old school way. We put it in advanced at the end, like advanced options, if you want to learn how to actually do. So,
Got it.
the core of the course for you to get up and running is 1 hour. It's
Okay.
just 1 hour.
And if you want additional learning, you can go back. Okay,
You
that's
can
awesome.
totally do that, but we organize it in such a way where it's like you're done. Course wrap up, you're done. Go to the advanced options, if you need it. And also at the end of your course, you should be. It's a good time to kind of upsell on anything that you have. If you have another product,
Yeah,
talk about that and see if you can get some sales that way as well.
100%. Man, talk about 47 minutes of jam-packed, juicy, meaty value. I couldn't thank you more. You're spit and fire. I mean, webinars are huge. This new model, I mean, we're really at this model is known by nobody virtually. If
That's
you
why I
think that,
wanted to jump on it, Sam. When I
yeah,
first saw this, and you know what's crazy? You know how I found out about this? I was
mm,
on a demo for my agency, and I was trying to sell him lead gen services. It was a mortgage broker, and he goes, "Have you ever heard of UpHex?" And I'm like, "No." I'm like, "What is that?" He was like, "It's just this thing." And normally, like, I would have just wrote it off, but I was like, you know what? Let me look into this. It sounds interesting. And I looked into it, and I stopped what I was doing. I made my entire team stop what they were doing. I brought them all into the conference room, and I was like, we are doing this right now before everybody finds out about this. We
that's
have to
amazing.
do this right now. And we completely
That's amazing.
pivoted. This like really pushed us over to a complete pivot for SaaS almost immediately, because I was like, dude, and I say this to everybody, all the mortgage brokers, I truly believe that this is going to revolutionize the marketing industry, because now the average Joe can advertise with just a few clicks of a button.
That's awesome, dude. That's high praise. I could not thank you more for being here with me today. Gonna have you back, dude. I mean, do not feel like you're getting off the hook without some more juicy interviews, because this was way too good to not do it again. So, Alex, I appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming and dishing the juicy details, man.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks for having me. I hope I provided some value. Anybody who messaged me on Facebook, I'll get back to you, but I'm most likely just going to send you this link instead of, they're like, "You have any advice for me?" I'm like, "Yeah, right here. Here's a video. You have 47 minutes of it."
Awesome, dude. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate you.